name is June’21. I'm a compliance global black belt at Microsoft and responsible for compliance solution. Today, I'm so happy with you and to talk about information protections and DLP solutions for Microsoft. So in this couple of years, when we talk to our customer, they're one of the biggest challenges how they are going to fulfill the requirements about the information protections. Because we have seen a lot of regulations coming up around the world. So one of the famous one is the GDPR that enforce every organization if they handling the EU citizens or residents information, they have to protect it. And also in some Asia country, for example, Malaysia and Thailand, they're also coming up a PDPA as to enforcing and asking organization to protect informations for their customer. With these kind of the regulations and pressure, the organization are forced to make a decisions how they are going to protect information. So one of the biggest challenges for them is they will feel very difficult to identify information in the organization. How they're going to be easy to identify sensitive information on the on-premises and also in the cloud solutions. Okay, for example, they put file on a SharePoint and OneDrive. Is there any sensitive information contained in this file? So they're going to do a search, right? And also they are having a challenge to apply the protections to these informations. At the same time, because they need to share these informations with external user, then how they can prevent the external user can, accidentally or intentionally to leak this information out. And also DLP is another area that customer also focusing on. So with our solution, that we provide them a series of a toolkit to help them identify and also protect information as well as to prevent data leakage. So for Microsoft 365 compliance solution, actually we divide a solution into 4 key pillars. So the first one is the information protection and governance. This provide the user to protect information by applying the sensitive label to do the data classification, and also to apply the retention label to the document that ensure the data should be retained in the organization for a number of years. That is usually that come up in the regulatory requirement. And the second pillar is the insider risk management. This solution is to look at the user behavior. If there are any misbehavior to handling the user information, and also is there any potential data leakage happening. So we digest the user activities and fit it into a machine learning model so that we can accurately identify this user could be a potential insider in the organization. And the third pillar is about discovering and respond. So we provide a set of tools to help our customer to do the data subject request and also to search for information in the organization so that they can respond to the court case, respond to the regulatory requirements or a government's agents. So in the past, the customer need to export the information from the cloud platform and then put it in the separate tools to do the e-discovery. But right now they are having a comprehensive in-place e-discovery tools within Office 365. And also we provide the advanced audit to give our customers can deep dive to individual actions. So for example, who actually opened the email, and also the user did a search in the SharePoint and OneDrive or a change online, so that they can correlate to the incidents to see the potential data leakage in the incidents. And the last pillar is the compliance management. So with the compliance management, we provide them a tools with a set of a compliance template so that they can easily to follow the template and the actionable insight and execute these kind of the protections in the Office 365 environment so that they are able to fulfill the regulatory requirements. For example, the GDPR, NIST, ISO, or a different countries PDPA as well. So these compliance manager provide a set of the template and they can easily achieve the compliance need. So today I would like to focus on the first pillar is the information protection and governance. Then how our solution can help the customer to identify information and also apply protections. So in this solution, in short form, we call IP&G, information protection and governance. So we look at the whole data lifecycle. So first of all, that we give them a visibility about the user behavior, user data. If there's any information or the file that match the sensitive information type in the environment, so we can categorize it and we surface it back to the portal. So from the portal, we provide a different tools to look at the data. For example, the Content Explorer, the Activity Explorer. So I will show you in a second. And also, during the whole data lifecycle, we start to think about how to do the protections. The protection could be encryption or the access restrictions and also the DLP as well. So apply the protections, we're using the sensitivity labels. So these sensitivity labels can apply to the documents through the Office applications or through the Office 365 online services. When a user interacts with the data, we also cover DLP as well. So in this section, I will talk about our DLP solutions, how they can easily to be set up and also apply to the Exchange and SharePoint, OneDrive, as well as Teams communication, and even down to the endpoint and on-premises. The last but not least is the solutions will also cover the governance so that they can apply the governance label to apply the retention period to make sure that these documents has to be retained for certain years or days or months within the organizations. So let's take a look how to protect information. We use a labeling concept. So for example, in this slide, you can see there is a confidential information in the document. So we apply the tagging. The tagging that actually is a metadata to the file, and also we can apply the watermark to the file content. So this kind of the file metadata can be readable by other systems. For example, if you have your own DLP solutions or a proxy solutions, they can inspect the file. Would that be allowed to send it out through the email or through the web browser, or would that be allowed to put in the certain system? So you can, based on the file metadata, to look at if there is sensitive information actually put in these systems. And of course, with our DLP solution, that we can natively support the labeling in our DLP solutions. And this labeling, we support a manual and automate label. For example, a user can open a Word document and apply the label manually, just selecting a sensitive labels from the put-down menu. And also, if that is not doing it, they just put the file to the OneDrive or SharePoint. You can configure the back-end process and to look at the content on the Office 365, and then we apply the label for the user automatically at the back end. And also you can apply the encryptions so that you only restrict these content can be open access by your employee. So even though that accidentally is leaked out to the external, so nobody can access to this document. This gives you additional layer instead of just purely implement the DLP solutions. With the encryption solution, you are able to have a secure access to your documents, and also that allows you a secure collaboration, because you can allow a specific user or specific partner organization, they're able to open these sensitive documents. So I would like to show you a live demo and how that the label can apply, and also how they can easily be configured. So you can see this is a compliance center. From the compliance center, you can find the list of compliance solutions, which I just mentioned about the DLP information protections and also the incident risk management. all the solution in a one single portal, so you can easily to navigate and to manage the compliance solutions within the same management portal. So before we apply the information protections, we first of all that we want to identify sensitive information in the organization. So we look at the data classification. You can see under the overview that we list down the user what kind of information in the organization, so that you can have a holistic view about what kind of information in your organization. For example, we can see that there are lots of credit card number or debit card number, which is majority information, sensitive information in my tenant. And also you can see how the sensitive label the usage in the organizations. And also you can see based on the locations as well. So with the sensitive information type, you can define a custom sensitive type, for example, based on the keyword, based on the regular expression or the dictionary. But we've already provide over 200 sensitive information type out of the box, so that you can actually to store and then you pick the information, the sensitive type that you use. For example, you can search for credit card. Okay, so this one we can automatically identify information with the credit card number. So we list down the criteria that, for example, that we based on the function that match the credit card. At the same time, if there is any minimum match for the following elements, for example, the verification number, the name, and also the expiration date, that can increase the confidence level. So also you can actually copy and the existing one, and then you can add it in a existing sensitive information type by adding additional keyword or other checking that you want that fit for your organization. Under data classification, we also provide a trainable classifier. So this trainable classifier is a machine learning model to help you to identify information like the resume, source code, contract, which is not easily to identify based on the keyword. So you can create a trainable classifier by fitting in a number of a sensitive, for example, contract or a NDA documents. By doing that, you can create a trainable classifier that fit for your organization. So for example, you can see the content and choose a site, and that the site contain all the NDA or contract documents, so that the solution can collect this sample and to build our machine learning model. So later on, you can use this machine learning model and fit for the information protections. For example, the user open a resume, then we can automatically identify this is resume documents, and then we apply a sensitive label to protect the informations. Let's look at the Content Explorer. So as mentioned, we have a sensitive information type defined. So we automatically surface the content in the Exchange, OneDrive, and SharePoint. For example, I have a bunch of the documents on the SharePoint. I can navigate to a SharePoint site, for example, this one that contain 72 documents which contain the credit card number. So even though if you have a privilege, then you can even access to this preview of a document to see if that is a true documents that contain sensitive information. Right now you can see that there's a free credit card number identified in these documents. So this is very powerful tools to help you identify information in your organizations across the Office 365 environment. And also we provide the Activity Explorer to look at the user behavior. So the user, for example, the file copy or pin kind of the documents. So you can look at the detail of, for example, the who did it and what kind of file is it. Is it a sensitive labeled document, and also would that violate a DLP policy? So you can have a bird eyes view about the organization user activities, and that interact with your sensitive informations. So we provide a bunch of the filter, so you can filter based on activities, based on locations, and even though you just look at a particular user. So if you want that, you can add additional filter to further digest informations in this Activity Explorer. So let's take a look at what you can do with the information protection and sensitive labels. So let's navigate to the information protections. So from here, you can define a list of the label that to apply the to the documents. So for example, I define a label called personal, private, general, and confidential. I have a two-tier. One is the confidential, but some of that is with no protection, but some allow them only for employee access. And also I have a highly confidential label as well. So right here, you can create your own new label. For example, if you want to create a HR sensitive data, this kind of label in for your organization in HR for HR department. So the label you can scope for the files and the groups, and also you can extend to the Azure Purview, which is our separate solution to discover information on the third party and first party cloud environment. So you can see the next, and then I want to encrypt the files and also apply the content watermarking. So right here you can say, hey, I want to assign the permissions to protect informations. For example, assign a particular permissions to a organization. They are able to co-author, or you only allow them to have viewer permissions. For example, if I apply this domain only have view permissions, then all organization user can only can read these documents. They are not able to do any changes. So you can have a different permissions for different user group in the same label. So this is the way that you can apply the protections, and also you can apply the content marking if you want, like the header, footer, and the watermark. And also you can apply the auto labeling capabilities. So if there is a certain contingent match, for example, if that is a matching a sensitive information like the credit card number, if there is a 10 credit card number in the documents, then we applied a protection label automatically. So you can also apply the protections for the groups, and also the purview as well. So so this is a sample to give you an idea how to configure the label, and also you can distribute the label to different group of user. So by configuring the labeling policy. So let's take a look how the user look and feel when they do the labeling. So this is the user machines. So if you open a Word documents, okay, so you can see that is a plain new document. So you can have a sensitive label button right here. So I already distributed labels for the user Alex. So in this case, then Alex can select I want to protect information by applying the label, and only all employees in organization can access it. just simply apply this label, then you can see at the bottom you can see the label already applied to the documents. If you scroll down to the document, you can see I also add the watermark, the footer in the documents, so that to classify this as a confidential document. And also you can not just work with the office client, but also it also works for the web client as well. So if you open the documents on the web, you are able to see the sensitivity label in the office online as well. So you can see that the sensitive labels also available for the Word, PowerPoint, Excel, and Outlook as well in the Office applications. So this is how you can apply the protections. And with this protection, you can also extend these to the DLP as a condition as well. So last but not least, you can also apply the auto labeling based on the files content on the Office 365. So by configuring the label, for example, I want to apply the label to the informations with the credit card. System label credit card. So I can apply this to the SharePoint. For example, I can pick a site if that is any credit card informations in this site. Okay, and then I want to apply a rules. So I can create the rules. The condition is that if that contains sensitive label, sensitive information, is a credit card. And then you can pick the user label. For example, I want to tag it automatically. So by doing this, then you can turn on this policy as a simulation mode, and then after 48 hours, then you can revisit this portal and look at if there are any documents is identified as a credit card number, and then if you think it's all good, then you can actually to turn on the policy. So you can review the items before you actually turn on the policy. So for example, this one I already set up a policy to look at a credit card number. So you can look at individuals' contents, and then if that is all right, then you can to turn on the protections. So this gives you a confidence then before that you actually apply the protections. So let's move on. We talk about the DLP. So the DLP solution, we offer a number of new capabilities in our DLP solutions. So we have done the DLPs for quite a long time. So our offering from the endpoint and also the Edge browser support, Exchange, SharePoint, OneDrive, as well as the Teams. So these are DLP offering to cover. And also we have integrated with the cloud app security so that you can extend a DLP policy to the third-party cloud as well. And during the last Ignite, that we also enhanced the new capabilities in our DLP. For example, we support a sensitive label as a condition in the DLP policy. So once you have a label the documents, then you can configure DLP policy and to trigger. And also we provide additional control in the email DLP policy so that you can further fine-tune or fine-grain to design the DLP policy for your exchange. And also we improve a support for the complex policy definition. So you have different conditions and the grouping in the DLP policy. And also we extend the security group and the distribution list for the team DLP policy so that you can more fine-grain to define a policy for different group of user. And more important is a lot of feedback about how to manage the alerts. So we can manage and group the DLP's events under the DLP alerts right now. So with the new classifier and the content type that we also enhance that will support it in during the Ignite. So recently we enhanced the new capabilities in our DLP is we support the Chrome browser. So we have an extension for Chrome that benefit for the DLP policy as well as the incident risk management. In a second, I will show you the demo and how does it work. And also we have a on-premises DLP available for a file sharer. So you can have a file share, to discover information, not just on the cloud, but also to the on-premises file folder. And then you can apply the protections to these files as well to restrict the oversharing. And the last one that we just announcing is the advanced DLP Alert Management. So I will show you that how you can actually look at the DLP alert. So let's take a look in detail that how it works. I will switch to my demo environment. So this is my client. So for example, I already have a browser which is a let me see, let's go down. Okay, so I already have a couple of a tab opens. So you can see this a file. Let me just delete this one. So this is the SharePoint, the organization SharePoint site. So which we expect to allow the user to upload the files to this SharePoint site. So I also have a credit card number documents. So I open it. So you can see that the content is contain a lot of credit card number, and also it's now marked as a highly confidential documents. So it's definitely is sensitive information that I don't want our user can copy it out. So I have a policy applied to this client, and also this is the Chrome browser. I have the endpoint DLP agents for Chrome also installed it to this Chrome browser. So if we move the documents to the SharePoint site, then it should work, because that this is the organization tenant. So they're able to the user able to copy and paste the documents to this SharePoint site. But if they want to move these documents to a personal Dropbox, so if that's happening, then you will see that actually the DLP policy is triggered. So let me just move again. I think it's too long. Let me just refresh. Yeah. So maybe I can demo the Google Drive first. Yeah. So you can see, for example, this is the personal Google Drive. So the behavior is the same. So if the user upload the documents to the Google Drive, and then you can see the block policy which is triggered, and then you not recommend to sensitive file copy to these locations. And also, if the user to create a mail in the Gmail, so they have the same experience because this is not the authorized domain. So even though if the user try to create a new email and upload the documents to here, so I have another restricted policy. I don't allow them to override the location, so that you can see that upload to this location is not allowed. So actually you have a two different options. You can allow, or you can allow them and keep on doing the audit, or you can just completely block them. They are not able to upload this document, or you can uh, um, allow them to give a reason to override the policy, so that they're able to do it for one time. But this override action will also be logged and can be tracked by administrator. So this depends on how you configure the policy. So I can show you in a second that how actually that can apply to the endpoint. So for example, if I open the document, I also stop the user to, for example, to pin the documents, because I have the policy to stop the printing. So you can see that, example, apply the pin the documents. So you can see that that is not recommended, and I can actually take actions, or I dismiss. If I take actions, then I can say, hey, I want to override these, and then for this time I can print it. So this is the user behavior that you can see from the endpoint. So the beauty of that is this endpoint is already built in the Windows 10 machine, so you don't need to have any agent installation. You can just deploy the policy for those on-board machine. Then it's all works. So you save your effort and resources to keep track the agent deployment. Is there any problem or update to the agents? So because this DLP agents is already built in on the Windows 10 machines. So let's take a look the configurations. So in the Compliance Center, you can navigate to the data loss prevention. So in the data loss prevention, you can actually to create a different set of the policy across email, SharePoint, Teams, and also the endpoint as well. So if you create a policy, then you can pick a different locations. Before I move that, I want to show you the endpoint DLP settings that actually you can configure the global settings. For example, which application is not allowed in your organization, so that you prevent this application to touch your sensitive information. Also, you can block Bluetooth applications, and also you can define which browser is not allowed in your organization. So this browser is not able to access or touch any of your sensitive information. And then you enforce them to use Edge browser, or you use the Chrome browser, so that you can further fine-grain and control the DLP policy. And also you can define the service domain, which is allowed list, which is a whitelist. So I put, for example, we allow the user to upload the documents to the SharePoint site, which is Office tenant, so it's okay. And also I allow them to upload the documents to the Office Outlook, because that is a organization domain. But other than that, for example, Dropbox, Gmail, Drive, or Facebook, so all this domain is not in the allowed service domain. In this case, that all will be blocked. And also you can say I want to have a settings and give the user can provide business justifications to override the policy. So you can have the different options to allow them how they can provide the reason to override the activities, override the blocking. And also you can always turn on the file activities monitoring. So even though you don't have a DLP policy in place, these use activities on endpoint interact with the Office document, PDF, and kind of the document. All these will be tracked and also serviced back to the Activity Explorer. So you don't need to have a DLP policy in place, but you're still able to get the visibility of what they are doing on their client. So this is the endpoint DLP settings. So let's move on to the policy. So let's take a look at how you can actually define a policy across the different locations. So for example, I already have one. Maybe I'll open this one. So I already defined one is unified policy. I want this to apply for all the SharePoint, OneDrive, and also device, as well as the on-premises as well. So this one is a for the files, sensitive files, so that I can take a closer look at how that can configure. So for example, it's looking for a particular country's ID card number, and also if that is contained the credit card number, any of these we consider is a sensitive PII, and or if that is labeled documents like the employee confidential or high confidential, and this kind of document also can be covered by this DLP policy. So if you scroll down, if these condition meet, then you can say, hey, user can not upload to the domain which is not in the allowed list, and also the user cannot copy and paste the informations to clipboard and move it to the USB or copy to network drive, and also the another application we also block it. For printing, for example, I give them an option to say, hey, you can override it, and also we can apply the protection for the Bluetooth as well as to stop the RDS. So each of them you can configure just audit, or you give them a block, or you allow them to override. Then they need to provide a certifications. So this is all that you can define for the endpoint device. But we don't stop here. We also allow you to extend the DLP for your on-premises file. So we can we leverage the AIP client to look at the content. For example, if that is a sensitive information in the on-premises file server, so you can simply to block everyone. We apply the permissions to the documents and folder. Then nobody can access it except the owner. Or you can set the permissions based on the parent folder. Or even though you can move the content to a quarantine folder, so that the sensitive information is file is no longer in this file share folder. So you can have a DLP for the on-premises. So the idea is that you deploy a AIP scanner on your on-premises network, so that you can apply the discovery policy and also the encryption policy to protect information by labeling, and also you can use this DLP policy to restrict access. So that's all I want to show you about the endpoint DLP and also the on-premises DLP. But last but not least is the alert page. So we provide a centralized alert management. So from here you can actually see all these the user violate the DLP policy. For example, the mesh based on the device, or in Teams chat. If for example, if you look at the Teams conversation, I have a policy to stop user to accessing or the sharing the sensitive information. For example, credit card is blocked in Teams. I have this policy for Teams, and then you can see that actually the user performed the actions, and if we look at the detail, the sensitive information find in the Teams chat. So we give you a more detail about the events you can see that a free credit card number is detected, and if you go to the sensitive type, that we also give you a match of the content and also the surrounding characters that give you a view and how you can determine is it a false positive or a true alert. And also you can look at for example, the match for these documents. If you look at the content detail, you can see that I matched the endpoint policy, which is highly confidential documents, or the with the credit card information that leak out on the device. So if you view the detail, you can see that what happened. Actually, the files print is the action that violate the policy. So in this case, you can assign someone to do investigations. For example, I will ask my IT officer to look at this DLP alert. Okay, you can save it. You can assign this alert and ask your team to manage it. And also, if you navigate to the events, then we give you a more details about the files, the hash, and also the user as well. If you look at the file activity, then we correlate all the activities about this file, and then these file activities show you all history about the activities. So this gives you a very detailed view about what happened. For example, Alex is not just print out this document, but also Alex try to upload the documents as well. So you can see all these activities about this particular file. So this is very powerful tools, and then you can track it activities in this DLP management. So let's give a recap, and actually we have talked about the Chrome browser plugin that able to take the DLP policy. You have the same experience as if you have a Edge browser, and also we provide a incident risk management as a signal from the Chrome browser. So for example, the user copy the file to personal account, and also a download content which is not allowed domain, and all this information that will service back to the incident risk management, so that can be a one of the scoring mechanism signal. And also we talk about the on-premises DLP, so that helps you to not just discover information on on-premises, find out the sensitive data store, but also you can protect the sensitive data by controlling the permissions. So avoid oversharing of this sensitive information. And also we can fully integrate with the compliance center. So with the centralized console, then you can apply this control through the centralized, no matter it's a DLP or information protections policy page. You can also extend to the on-premises file storage. And last but not least, that I also mentioned about the DLP Alert Management. So this gives you full detail of alert insight, and including the surrounding tags, sensitive information, and also we provide you a view that only for the security and compliance role. So so you have a full control of what you can see in this alert management. And also we support the workflow, so you can assign the alert to someone to manage it, so that they don't need to have a separate system or technical system. Then everything that can be achieved and work in one centralized console, so they can review it, and then they can say, hey, this already resolved, for example. So that's all for this section. I hope that you enjoyed this section, and then you can think about and how to help our customers to to enable the information protection and also the DLP policy. Thank you so much. Enjoy your day. Bye-bye.